Hello, this is History Boy, and this is the second episode of this week of Fun Facts with Liam. Of course, me, Liam, Lee, History Boy, of course. And, um, yeah, this is one I've been debating over like a week or even 2 weeks. And it's going to be kind of the same, it's going to be the same, related to the same kind of people that I talked about in my latest episode of astute and stalwart ones, the Jews of Hull, Liverpool, and Leeds. It's another title, but that's pretty much them. Rather, the Jews of Yorkshire, Lancashire, and Merseyside. Check that out. Actually, it just dawned on me today, really, that perhaps if I should put the recommendations in the descriptions and, send a link, post a link to, the recommendation. So this is about, well, George Washington and I think quite an obscure Jewish man. In the words of Dr. Farage from from Oz. I've been binge watching that. It's rough, but it's really compelling. It's really weird seeing Elliot Stabler and Dr. Emil Kolar and uh, Angel Batista and all the rest of them. It's like it's bizarre seeing them as really really bad blokes. Speaking of, which is obviously another playlist of mine. So this is about following about 6 years. Yeah, 6 years after the bill of, the signing of the bill of the Declaration of Independence after the revolution or blah 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 and all the rest of it. Everyone's heard that old hat and all the rest of it. You know, Americans like to bang on about the independence stuff, but there's plenty of other countries that have had independence, and I mean, not all have benefited from, like, Eritrea doesn't seem to be doing that well. Well, I don't know. Maybe they are. Cornwall wants to be independent from well, at least England. I think for some reason, Scotland want to be independent from Great Britain. Nicola Sturgeon keeps pushing that, but it's getting to a point where the Scottish aren't even asked about that anymore. It's like, if there's no benefit, then there's no benefit. And it's not like it's anything about taxes or rubbish like that. Because, you know, the whole taxes thing with the US, or slightly future US, it was the taxes in Blighty were, I think, just as bad. For example, and to be fair, I think if I was an American in the late 1700s, I'd be pissed off too. I'd be pissed off that not only are you making people pay war tax, back in the other side of the pond, it's like we're not even part of it. Blah blah blah. And also, speaking of independence stuff, I think technically, if you like stuff like even the Battle of Hastings was a battle of independence. At least England wouldn't be England now if it wasn't for, William the Conqueror putting to bed the whole spat with the Harolds and Norwegians or whatever, and so on and so forth. Why do you think? Yeah, why do you think Norman was such a popular name for hundreds of years? That's like a manly, getting things done name. But anyway, I'm digressing. So George Washington and a Portuguese Jew, or Sephardic Jew, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, a Jewish person from the Mediterranean, anywhere from Italy, southern Italy, Portugal, even North Africa. That's what they are. He was one of them. So Moses, Moses, Seixas. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation a little bit. Maybe. I mean, I still can't be arsed looking up phonetics and stuff because I hate Google talking to me. But because the only proper obscure Portuguese name I know is Teixeira, which I found out on Jetpunk, the quiz site, which is fun. I like to dip into that every now and again. So it's the whole, in a nutshell. Like there's the whole Family Guy jokes of was it George Washington or Benjamin Franklin? I was getting them too mixed up because they both were early American politicians and early-ish American politicians, and they both wore, posh wigs, as was the fashion for, people of that time. What came as a thing to hide the horrible effects of syphilis on the scalp became like a symbol of manly, sexy authority for some reason. So basically, Washington, he, in his letter, Moses, the Portuguese Jew, he wrote a letter, and this was 6 years after the, like I say, blah, 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 the signing of the bill and shit like all that shit. Excuse my French. Anyway, I'm gonna put the sources and everything in it as usual. So the response was Moses Seixas pushed for a like a community, a Jewry for people of his ilk in Newport, Rhode Island. So Rhode Island, it's obscure and forgotten about. Well, or people kind of, is it obscure? I guess in comparison to a lot of other places like New York and all the rest of New Jersey and everything like that. But he made the push for the first proper long-running or staple of, for American Jews, basically. So he pushed he wrote to George Washington, and Washington's response was basically, sometimes it's a bit hard it was hard kind of reading that letter because it's political jargon and stuff, and it was like posh political jargon, from 200 plus years ago, where it would have been a carryover of even then generations ago talking. So his response was, in a nutshell, to make a long, very like a long story short already, that everyone who is born in America, comes over to America, is raised there, no matter their background, is an American. They're equal. So, if I'm remembering right, if I'm not confusing him with Franklin again, like in some Family Guy joke, he was actually he was accepting of the Jews. He was accepting of everyone, and speaking of Franklin, though, he was played from what little I saw of it, it was played very brilliantly by the late great Tom Wilkinson, who is from my neck of the woods. Oh well, he's a West Yorkshire lad, like Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart being from Mirfield and Wilkinson being it from Horsforth in near Leeds, which is also where the great Malcolm McDowell is from. You know, Clockwork Orange. Did a South Park episode one time. And another thing I'm going to list off, he was in the Rob Zombie Halloween films. You know, the reboots. He was Dr. Loomis, who was originally, you know, it was originally the brilliant Donald Pleasance, who is is a great even now, even though he's dead, a great acting chameleon. You can tell it's him, but he can blend right into a role. But anyway, yeah. So all you Americans out there like to make Jew jokes. I think you're my audience members. Can't quite remember. But anyway, yeah. The FFs weren't all anti-Semitic. I don't think Franklin was so much. And Washington definitely wasn't either. So, yeah. That was Fun Facts episode 27 as a whole. So, be sure to like, subscribe, witter, and I'll see you in the penultimate episode of this week's Fun Facts with Liam.